So I've always thought that be yourself is really weird advice. The reason I think that is because we're constantly changing every day. You might look at yourself 3 months ago or 6 months ago and cringe at some of the pictures or videos you've taken. We might look back a year ago and we listen to different music, or we interact with different people, or we just enjoy different things. So you can imagine after a few years of that, how many of us change who we are depending on the environment we're in, the type of content or media we intake, or just the things we interact with on our daily basis. I mean, how can we really be ourselves when we move differently in different spaces? We deal with some people differently than others. When it comes to a work environment, it's different than a casual environment. And we even talk differently, from some choice words we use to just the overall feeling of conversation. You know, you would handle yourself differently in a meeting versus whether you're just talking to somebody in a non-professional environment. And then when it comes to dating, man, some people are so different from the first month or two to afterwards. Obviously, a part of that is just figuring out more who they really are, but some people can really flip a switch, man. It's kind of crazy. And then you have those people who take on the identity of their partners or the people they interact with the most, and they really don't have an identity of their own. So when are we ever really ourselves? Because it seems like we're constantly having to adapt to the environments, the situations, the people, and the places that we go to. And one big problem is some people are never themselves. They don't really have an identity. So they take on whoever their favorite influencer is, or their favorite artist, or whatever. And then you have those people who, just on a daily basis, they don't want to offend the people that they're around, so they have to hide aspects of themselves to either fit in or make other people happy. It's kind of interesting, kind of funny, but it is what it is. But one thing I also have noticed is that there are some people who literally cannot be themselves, otherwise they will never succeed. When your natural personality is to be abrasive, or to be hard-headed, or just to be polarizing, some people don't really like being around that. And even if you do, it's more of like a birds with a feather type of thing. You're not going to be able to attract people who don't fit into that box to interact with you. So one thing I've definitely noticed over the years is that there are like 3 main skills that some people have where they're able to operate in any different environment and interact with different people from all sorts of backgrounds. And so the first one is they handle themselves with decorum. By that I mean they garner respect from other people. When other people respect you, I feel like it's almost like currency. When people pay you their respects, that means you're able to do things, promise things, or say things, and people will believe you just off the strength that it's you. There's no fluff, there's no tricks, there's nothing like that. It's just you being who you are. The second one I want to talk about is adaptability. There are some people who are able to interact with, let's say, one crowd and then get real professional with the other. This is commonly referred to as code switching, if you've never heard it before. But being able to adapt to your environment and being around all different sorts of people will give you such an advantage, because everywhere you go in the world, people are not the same. There's different cultures, different lifestyles, different ways of talking, different ways of communicating, that if you're not willing to adapt to that, you're not going to get too far. And then we have just overall communication skills. Things like being able to speak well, or at least being able to communicate in more ways than one. If you're able to speak in a way that appeals to other people, you're always going to be able to get ahead. So that's just what it's about. Furthermore, I just think that being yourself is more a feeling of contentment. I think a lot of times we know when we're not feeling like ourselves, whether we're feeling down, or sometimes when we know we're a well-balanced person, but we just kind of go off the edge sometimes, whether something bothered us, or we just got upset, or more emotional than normal. And finally, I think it's good to remember that we're always changing. We're constantly changing, and it's important to embrace change in ourselves and also to the things that we're around. So that's all I pretty much have for y'all today. If you enjoyed this content, like always, drop a like below, leave a comment, sharing your thoughts. I definitely want to hear what some of you have to say about this. And also follow me on my socials at leanbuff and subscribe for more.